It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Fine Saturday matinee to you, Steve Sarmento.
Oh, good morning. It's just the two of us for a while.
It is. I think Andy is, he's on athletic AWOL, right?
Athletic AWOL. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
we can call
He's
it that.
definitely without leave, for sure.
Yes, it's like a very special edition of SatMat for the next few weeks. It's the Nelsonless SatMat.
That's right. That's right. And nobody else, let's just say, nobody else will get up this early. We've tried.
No, we have. They just.
And I talked to Tommy. We record the other show. I'm doing What's That Smell with Tommy, and he's always so apologetic. He's like says to me, he looks, we do it on camera sometimes, and he looks at me, he says, "I'm so sorry, man. It's just 7 o'clock. It's just not my hour. It's just not my hour." That's just, it's not good.
Okay, I guess
okay, that's fine.
I'll admit I'm a morning person. Does
You
Tommy start his day
definitely
at 10 or 11 a.m. or something? I don't understand these people.
I guess he's
So
one of
much
those people
to be
who's
done.
time shifted. He's entirely time shifted.
He's still operating in like high school mode where
That's
it's
right.
like I'll be up to 2 in the morning, but I don't wake up till like 10.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
He's
Exactly
a
right.
perpetual 16-year-old Tommy. There we go.
I'm now at that place. See, you're down one child now.
Yes.
I'm at that
Yeah.
place where my children they're moving into that high school mode. My daughter's never really gotten there. She definitely, she's up pretty early. But my son, he'll sleep till 11 now, and that just turned on this year. The new thing.
Oh. Now see, but she gets up early because that's how you start the revolution. You got to get up to Hunger Games camp before sunrise so that you can take down the system.
That's right. She's so responsible now that she outshines her parents regularly. This morning she's got to meet today, and she's got to be over at the high school. She had to be over at the high school by 7:30 to get the bus to go to this meet across town. And I said, I'll get up with you. I'll be sure to get up with you. And you think as a parent, you're like, I'm going to get up. I'm going to make her a big breakfast. Everything will be great. And I just failed. I failed.
So you're like, here's a Pop-Tart. See you later. Yeah,
Well,
I'm going back to bed.
I came downstairs a half hour late, and she's already got this beautiful like dill eggs and toast, and she's made this incredible spread. Her lunch is made, and I forget she's a small adult at this point, and really doesn't need me at all.
Yes, you're at the edge of that.
Lessons
yeah.
learned. So what were we talking about right before we had our recording failure just a minute ago? We were talking about something that we needed to record, and then everything blew up.
I don't know. It was either my cocaine or Reese Witherspoon. Or Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon. That's right. Michael Caine Inception. If anybody's in anybody who's in the Discord, you have to go learn how to speak like Michael Caine. And Nick Langdon posted my favorite so far, which is Michael Caine doing Michael Caine, and then Michael Caine doing Michael Caine doing Dudley Moore, which never ends. I don't have any. I'd heard that you could do you could get voices for your like Garmin, right?
Yes.
You could get Darth Vader and apparently Michael Caine.
But it's not
directions.
It's not Michael Caine. It's somebody doing a poor man's version of Michael Caine, apparently.
Which is enough, really.
Yes.
He's the accent I forgive the most because it's funny all the time.
See, I would just love for one of the studios to just pull quotes from their film catalog that would be appropriate for navigation. So if you could pull off somebody with a long career like Michael Caine, you could probably pull off audio clips from out his career, like "Turn left now."
Yeah, right.
Of that. So it's not them having to come in and read canned lines. Just pull great moments out of great movies.
Quotes from movies, and then it's effectively Bumblebee, right? It's effectively Bumblebee giving you directions. It's like he's insinuating directions through lines that are roughly directional.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's what I'm doing. Oh.
Right?
When you put it that way, it sounds so less.
Boy,
yeah.
This has really gone south.
Yes.
This whole operation's a shit show. It's all gone south.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I don't even know what that was from, but I'm sure he said something like that. And then you have
Yes.
to turn south. You see what
Yes.
I've done there? Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh.
We actually have a busy morning this morning.
Yeah,
A busy
it's like
matinee because
3-hour show we've got
it's a
going.
3-hour show because Andy made us double up on lists because we made a promise that we were going to do a list, and then you had to sleep in. I think was what you said.
I was burned out from a rough week. There was no way I was getting up and functioning. Yes.
Okay. I was going to leave it at Steve had to sleep in.
That's fine.
The young prince had to sleep in. Andy was doing his athletic thing, and for me, when both of you were out, I thought, well, I'm not going to monologue it. So that was last week. We skipped last week, and now we have to double up, and so we have 2 lists today.
Yes.
I did not bring 2 trailers.
I did not either. I thought that
Okay.
was
That's
too
overkill.
much.
That's a
Yes.
bridge too far. All right.
Yeah. Well, although I thought, did we record 2 separate shows? We do
Oh
like
no, this
show
is
A
one
and show
show.
B.
One
No, yeah, I know. And I thought, no, we don't have time. We don't have time for those shenanigans. It's
No,
just
those
hit
would be
that button and
shenanigans.
go, and then
That's
we'll
exactly
end
how you would
it-
describe that shenanigans.
Yes, sometime around noonish or something.
Hooliganry.
We'll finish.
Right.
Yes.
Do we have any major news that we want to talk about? Anything that you brought? All I brought is movies. I have no news.
I have no news. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've watched recently. I haven't made it out to the theaters, and it's sort of a dry spell. Although my wife did see that Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, Paul Feig movie.
I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, and she said it was really good, and she watched the trailer and said, "Oh wow, they're marketing it this way."
Yeah.
Interesting. So she said it's a really dark comedy, more comedy than you would think from the trailer. So one that people have been enjoying, I guess. So
All right. I
that's something
I need to get it on the list.
Yeah, get it on the list, but because otherwise it's sort of the dry spell before Oscar season, I think.
We are, well, I guess as we record this, we're still in the middle of our 1968 crime films. And I think it was, what was it that went live this week? Was Coogan's Bluff?
Coogan's Bluff, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I have now finished all of the movies in this series. Have you seen these movies?
No.
We've got Targets, Coogan's Bluff, The Detective,
Nope.
Danger, Diabolic.
Nope. It's an interesting list, and it's one that I want to. I took that time off from the Apes, thing you guys did, and said, yeah, I don't need to see those again. But this one is a lot of films that I have not heard of, but I'm intrigued. So it's giving me something to add to my watch list if I can track these down. So
I definitely think you should see 75% of the movies on that list. Maybe
okay.
I'm going to give you, maybe I could even go 65. You definitely should see 65% of the movies on that list.
Wait, how many films are on this list? You named
there are
4.
4.
How do I get to 65? Oh, so
yeah, that 65 is the emotional connection that I want you to actually bring to that last movie. I struggled with it. Andy really liked it.
Okay.
No, Danger Diabolic was not as much of my cup of tea.
Oh, okay.
But Coogan's Bluff, we both agreed was not great, and we've already been told that we took it too seriously or something.
Well, see, okay, well, going back to The Predator, apparently everybody hates movies, and I just never hate anything. So no matter how much of a trash fire you guys think it is, I will still find a way to enjoy it. So
yeah,
and honestly, I had a friend that went and saw Mission Impossible Fallout, and he was just like, this movie is ludicrous. And I said, well, yeah, it's Mission Impossible, and it's just ridiculous. And I thought, I think I'm at either a point in my life or just the way the world is now where I'm just so angry on a daily basis during the day that when I go see a movie, I don't want to be frustrated and angry because I feel that way just watching the news. So totally. I'm much more forgiving in entertainment because I know there's an attempt to entertain me. So I will I guess, hungrily latch onto that. Say, yes, please take me with you. I want to have fun. And just go and endure whatever and say, but this is fun. This is fun. I'm having a good time.
Right.
So maybe I will enjoy
Did I have
slightly
some
more.
good snacks? Did I have some notable snacks at the movie? That maybe can buoy a lot of trash.
Well, if I get out, you've been here. You know the Harkins popcorn and the quality of that popcorn. So
I
I've
have
got
to
that
tell you,
going
I've
with
never
me.
been more impressed by a food, a concessionary establishment than at Harkins. The reward programs, the cups, like we don't have that.
Yeah, it's all locally homegrown here. So you just need to, get your own personal jet and fly down here for movies. I mean, we didn't even get to, we for Patreon, we need to maybe set up a reward because there's the one theater, and I think it's where we were. They have the secret room where it's like you can rent it out for like, I think it's like $900. You get it for like 2 hours, and it's like they've got a secret. You go through like a freezer door into this little hallway, and they've got a little small sized like home theater system, but it's Harkins that operates it, and you can rent it out. And it's got all the stadium seating, I think, in there and all that. You've got food and all this stuff. So it's like you can pick any movie and you rent out the place and you throw a little personal party there, but it's run.
And there's a team of staff people and they're like fanning you with giant olive leaves. Like, is that?
Well, I don't know if that may be an option on the little list of things. The Emperor package, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm hoping for.
But you get all the food and the nice popcorn and a nice theatrical experience, and you don't have to worry about like the dog running through the room while you're watching, or the neighbors banging on the door. What are you doing in there? It's so loud. Turn it down.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. All right. Well, they do it right. That's one thing they absolutely do right.
We take our entertainment seriously here in Arizona.
Very seriously.
Not much else, but
because I think you're not alone. Everybody is just so angry all the time that they have to take their theater going experience very seriously.
Yes. All
right.
So what are we doing with trailers?
Let's do trailers. Yeah.
You didn't pick the thing that I thought you were going to pick.
What did you think I was going to pick?
Well, we were off, so I figured you were going to be all like Marvel-tastic.
I know. I knew that you would think that, so I. But then I
thought, oh no, did I set the tone? I did my trailer pick, and then Pete's like, well, I can't go ridiculous with that because he's picking something serious. So now I'm gonna have to do something serious, and we're all like brooding, artsy political statements here now.
I'm gonna go first because I picked my trailer before I watched your trailer.
Oh, okay.
I just knew don't watch Steve's trailer because I'll probably want to pick it, and true to form. I did. Okay. So I'd like to tell you about my trailer, which is it's a film called Nigerian Prince, and so do you remember? Do you listen to Reply All, the podcast?
Oh yes.
Okay, so do you remember the episode where he followed the scammer to wherever he was? He gets a call about the software support.
In India.
Yeah, he goes to India.
Yes. Oh, it's a brilliant episode.
Oh, it's like a two-parter, and it's just riveting. It's positively riveting because what business do these guys have like pulling on this thread? But they pull on it, and they pull it so hard, and it actually goes and meets his scammer. And I found it just really, it's devastatingly compelling podcasting. And so then I see this movie and I realized, wow, I'm super into these stories where you have a kid who he is sent to Nigeria for some reason that in the trailer makes mom feel really maniacal.
Yes.
But he's shipped off to Nigeria to stay with family, and he hooks up with this cousin, I guess, and it turns out the cousin is a Nigerian scammer. He's the guy who's sending all of the Nigerian prince emails, or he's part of it. And so this is a story. It seems like a smaller film, a small story about this kid and his relationship to what's going on in kind of Nigerian email crime, I guess. But it comes as something that was highly recommended to me, that I ended up getting a note from a friend who has seen the movie and said that it is something that is worth seeing. It presents a really interesting narrative that is that tells the other side of this story, not just about all the white people who receive spam emails, but this is about the lives and lifestyles of people over there who turn to this this particular lifestyle. Why do they do it? And it actually is an interesting drama. It does cruise right over the 6-star rating on IMDb, so that gives me hope. It's a 6.8 out of very few reviews. Not very many people have seen it, but I found myself really interested in it. And from the trailer, I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. There are a lot of motivations that are sort of set out from central characters in the movie that I'm not entirely sure, if how they're going to make good on all of those motivations, how they're going to make those feel redeemed. And so it makes me super curious. Comes with a bunch of people that I have never seen, but they look great. Antonio J. Bell and Chinaza Uche and Tina Mba and Bimbo Manuel as kind of the central cast. And there you go. What'd you think? How did it hit you?
Oh, it looks really compelling. This is a genre that's sort of like right in that area of things I love. Particularly the moment that really got me was the moment where our Nigerian scammer is having a conversation with like a police officer or some government official, and clearly he's run afoul of them several times, but they're asking, is he scamming the American cousin? And so it gets
Mhm.
into this, the larger con, and
Who
and is
scams the scammer?
right, and yes, who's scamming who, what's going on, what's real, what's con, what's going on. And I love films because when that is done well, it's really rewarding for me because it rewards a second viewing to see how well it can set everything up, and is it really showing its hand but you don't see it the first time. So
Mhm.
I'm really interested in this, and the fact that you can find a new way to tell this type of story, something that's relevant that people can connect to, and showing again that other side of it. So yeah, I'm really excited about this, but I don't know when this is this going to be a direct to video thing? Is this
I
hitting theaters?
I don't know. It
Okay.
is floating around. It ran at Tribeca in April of this year, and so it is floating around. But it has I have no release date at this point, and so I don't know. Keep an eye out for it though, because it looks like something that might just be worth seeing.
Oh yeah, if this hits streaming in the next couple months, this is one that JJ and I will jump on because this is right in that mind bender
Oh, totally.
type of thing that he really loves, and I think this would be a really good one to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
So
I'm
yeah,
hopeful. So that's it. Nigerian
yeah.
Prince. Keep an eye out for it. It is out there. What's yours, Stevie?
Oh, I'm just doing your regular biopic of historical living American figures. I I'm torn about this one. Uh, a couple things after watching the trailer. So this is On the Basis of Sex, which is the story of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her struggles for equal rights and the things she had to overcome in order to become a U.S. Supreme Court justice, which to me is really timely with everything that's going on. This is, well, what really caught me with this one was we've talked about Army Hammer and just
Yeah.
how he just I don't know, he's always like under the radar and just great performances, but people forget, I think. And so I'm just waiting for this guy to find like those perfect roles, and this is one that I know he's going to pull off really well as Marty Ginsburg. But we've got Felicity Jones, and as Ruth Ginsburg, Kathy Bates, Sam Waterston. We've got a lot of recognizable names and faces to this. It is from first time writer Daniel Stiepelman. But what I'm really excited about is this is sort of the return to the big screen for Mimi Leader, who has done a lot of TV, but hasn't really done anything on the big screen since I think it was like Pay It Forward back in 2000. But she's been doing lots of TV, so I there's moments in this trailer that make me think, this looks like it could just come across as a made for TV movie just put on the big screen. So I'm concerned about that aspect of it. Is this a story that is really going to play well on the big screen? It is coming out Christmas Day, so I think audiences are going to show up for it. But I just have concerns of, is it going to be a big enough story? Is it going to be cinematic enough, or is it going to feel like I'm just watching TV in the theater? But I think I picked this. This is an important story to tell. It's just really timely with everything going on, and I'm looking forward to see Felicity Jones carrying this movie.
I am too. I don't know. I to your point about Armie Hammer, finding those, whatever it is that, what's his sweet spot. I don't know. I feel like your point is right on. Like you sort of don't remember, and yet you go back and look at the movies he's been in, and from The Social Network, everything that I've seen him in, I really, really like. And so it's and I can't imagine anybody else doing the part. It feels like an Armie Hammer part. Man from Uncle to Nocturnal Animals to Free Fire to Call Me by Your Name to, I mean, and Sorry to Bother You, which was really weird,
Yes.
but suddenly feels like the sweet spot for Armie Hammer, right?
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm right with you. And yet, he's mercurial. He's a puzzle. Felicity Jones, I adored her in The Theory of Everything. I feel like I was, I don't know. I feel like I was on a bit of an island with that. I think that was a terrific movie in my book, and I think there were folks in our circle who did not agree with me. I don't remember. Were you on Camp Theory of Everything or no?
Still haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay. I'm sure. I think that you'll like it. In my head, you're going to be with me on that one.
That was when they got. It was It was that year. It was that one, and then what was it? The Imitation Game, and I was like, oh, we've got two scientists. It was just I kept getting them confused. I said, well, I need to watch these significant periods of time apart so I don't keep getting them confused.
But and you did see The Imitation Game? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Oh yeah, okay. I did see that one. So now, time for Theory of Everything. But
yeah, it's worth seeing. She's great.
And I
think she's great.
And I know that she took some flack. I think in our Rogue One discussion, there were some people that did not love her in Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. But
I did. I was in favor. I was in favor of her in that movie. I thought she was terrific as Jyn Erso. So I really love what she brings to these parts, and so I'm seeing her as, the notorious RBG. I'm very excited about it, and I immediately texted it to my daughter. I said, "You got to see this," and because she's my daughter, I got many emojis in return that were enthusiastic and shocked emojis.
Yes,
and so I think it just looks terrific. This cast, it's one of these films. Sam Waterston, Stephen Root, Kathy Bates.
Yeah,
it just looks terrific. So let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, Christmas. You gotta wait for Christmas.
Christmas Day.
Christmas Day. Yes.
Man, there's a lot. I mean, the weight of responsibility on her shoulders and on Mimi Leder's shoulders to do this movie right is heavy.
Oh yeah,
heavy. All right.
That's
so. There are the trailers. Now it's time to do list number 1.
Okay, and this is the
movies inside of other movies.
Movies inside. So people watching movies in a movie.
Yes.
Okay. The movie Inception thing. Okay.
Yeah,
so I'm in a movie watching a movie. Okay. There were a couple different ways to go with this, and I tried to be fairly strict with watching the movie is sort of an important part of the movie, not just somebody walks past a TV and there's a movie playing, or they just walk past a movie theater, or there's a brief scene.
I've done something horrible here.
I just tried to. Oh, you did something horrible?
I did something horrible. Hold on. I pressed play on a thing, and I should not have pressed play because the volume was way too loud. Okay, now go ahead.
Now you can't even hear me.
You tried to be strict.
I tried to. Yes. Okay. So I tried to be, in approaching this list, I tried to be really strict with people watching the movie is important part of the story, or it's a central part of the story, not just people walking past a TV that's playing a movie, or there's a small scene that might take place in a movie. I tried to make the movies, watching the movie, an important part of the story. So
Yes.
I went that way with it, because I thought there's just, oh, there's a movie in a movie, yeah. So I tried to say it's got to be an important part of it, which
Yeah.
did get me into a little bit of a twist into movies that are about making movies, and there's parts where they're watching the movie that they're making. So there's so many layers. It's like an onion. It's
It
got
is.
layers.
It's a riddle wrapped inside a Twinkie.
Yes.
I ran into that, and I set myself some very strict rules, and I immediately started to break them as soon as I started picking movies. So there we have it. Would you like to do the honors on this one?
Sure, I'll go first on this one, and I'm going to start with one. I think in our family we consider this a guilty pleasure, because I think it's often overlooked, and it's very insidery. But there is just this great scene where they're watching. This gets into we're a movie about making a movie, but the scene where they're actually watching the footage from the movie is just brilliant and genius. And this is America's Sweethearts, with just an amazing cast: John Cusack, Julia Roberts, Billy Crystal, Christopher Walken, Seth Green in there. It's a movie about America's Sweethearts, a romantic, got these leads in a romantic movie, and they've gone through a divorce, and they're coming back together, and they've hired Christopher Walken, who's this like crazy director, to like make this movie with, and I forgot, Catherine Zeta-Jones. So you got John Cusack and Catherine Zeta-Jones as the like favorite romantic comedy leads, and they're in this movie directed by Christopher Walken, who's just off the reservation, crazy nuts. He's living in the shack that the Unabomber lived in. He somehow bought that, and that's where he wrote and scripted this movie that he's directing them in. And the scene when he actually starts to show the footage for the big press junket is just hysterical. So that's my first pick. You've never seen it, have you?
I don't know what to say. Great pick, Steve. I'll add it to the list.
Oh no, you hate that movie, don't you?
Oh, no, I actually have never seen it. So
you've
I
never
don't
seen
know.
it? Oh,
No.
okay. It's not for everybody. It's very insidery, and I think some people just write it off. But there's a lot of great moments in there, and I've pulled clips from each of my picks for this one of what I feel are these key moments. So I've got some clips that we can put in the show notes.
My pick. Well, let's just start with my pick. Do you have any idea? Could you possibly imagine where I'm going to start with my pick, given our history on this show?
What, with a Woody Allen pick?
Yes, Steve. Yes, it's a Woody Allen pick. I had already given up on my drive to my charge to bring a Woody Allen movie to every list that we do, but this one I could not resist.
Okay,
it is The Purple Rose of Cairo.
Oh yes,
yes. I mean, you kind of have to do this when Jeff Daniels walks out of the screen for the first time. It's well, going to the movie is pretty central to the plot. And so Purple Rose of Cairo. I know there's mixed feelings about Woody Allen. My feelings are not mixed about Woody Allen, and yet I still choose this movie. So no, you can love the art without loving the artist. How about that?
Yes, I agree. And this one showed up my list. I said, no, Pete's going to take this one. I know. And it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember the first time just loving the concept, and the second time looking at just the commentary of when the audience is sitting there, because Jeff Daniels has left the screen, his character's left, and so the rest of the characters are just sitting around like making small talk. There's not a lot going on, and the audience is showing up they're still in the theaters, like riveted by just what is this ordinary life going on? Are people just sitting around? And so what is that saying about art and entertainment and all of those things? But such a great pick. Yes.
If you haven't seen it, it's one that's worth seeing. And even if you don't love it, that's okay. Give it a shot.
Yes, it's. I'm not a huge Woody Allen fan. I would say this is one that's uh worth checking out. It's lighter Woody Allen fare. It's yeah, definitely set the
Yeah.
artist aside from the art in this one. This
Yep.
was back in like '87, I believe. Late
85.
80s.
It
85.
was
Oh wow.
85. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a great cast. Mia
Yes.
Farrow, Danny Aiello, obviously
Mhm.
Jeff Daniels. It's good. It's good.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Number 2, Steve.
Number 2. Oh, I'm going with another one that I think is long forgotten, but still just is worth seeing. Way back in 1993, Joe Dante directed a little film with John Goodman and Kathy Moriarty called Matinee. And this was set. Have you seen this?
I don't think so. You're 2 for 2 for me.
Okay, so John Goodman. This is set like right around the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, and John Goodman plays this like studio producer who I forget the guy that he's modeled on. The guy that invented that electrocuted the seats in the theater for the movie The Tingler, so people would feel. Yeah. So his character is modeled on that. So he's got a new movie called Mant that's coming out about nuclear testing, and man and ant get combined, and so it's about Mant. So he's in this small town to promote his new film, and meanwhile you've got these things going on with the Cuban Missile Crisis, and our main character is a teenage boy. So you've got all the stuff of just growing up as a teenager and this girl he likes in high school and all this. It is a solid 6.8 on IMDb, so it is definitely worth checking out. But there's a great scene where you actually see the trailer for Mant. So the kids are in the theater watching, and you see the John Goodman on screen introducing and explaining his movie Mant and how he's going to be traumatizing the audience. But a great little PG comedy classic. You don't get a lot of good PG movies anymore. This is perfect for family movie night.
Excellent. I'm sure Tommy will be thrilled.
Didn't even think of that.
Right.
Oh, Tommy, I apologize.
Yeah. So number 2 for me is, it's one that kind of crosses the line, but there is a theater going experience in it. It is one I believe we've talked about on this very show. I am choosing it here because I'm celebrating it, because when it was picked, I hadn't seen it in years and years and years, and I had kind of a lousy memory of it. And I thought I didn't like it all that much. Turns out I like it quite a bit. That is Bowfinger. It is the story of Bowfinger as he tries to make this movie through a nest of lies and twists and turns. And at the very end, Steve Martin is able to blackmail a number of parties into getting his movie made, and they all go to the premiere, and he sits way up front in the corner, and it is still a magical experience of Steve Martin watching his own movie on the big screen. And I have a great time at this movie. In this movie, I love Eddie Murphy playing his own twin, and it's just it's a hoot.
I love that movie so much. There's so many you just mentioned Bowfinger, and I've got like 3 or 4 scenes that I love about that film.
All these cars, they're all stunt drivers.
Yes.
Stunt drivers? Oh, okay.
No, I love the little sort of minor arc with the film crew, which is he goes down to the border, opens up the van, and his guys are coming across the border. He just grabs like 3 guys in the back of the van, and then later on they're sitting around, they're talking in Spanish about like The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, and they're just like great cinematographers. It's a great movie. Frank Oz, this is just spot on. Perfect comedy, especially if you love movies, have ever been involved in any aspect of filming something. You're just going to love sort of his hacks that he has for getting some of these things done.
It's brilliant. It is. Yes. It's perfect. Making Heather Graham go and from shooting from across the street in the trees, making her go up to his house and chase the car. I mean, there's some fantastic guerrilla filmmaking moments.
Oh yeah, the high heels on the dog is one of my favorites when they're in the parking garage.
In the parking garage, yeah,
Yes.
it's great. It's great. So
Oh,
that's it. Bowfinger for me. What's
okay.
your number one pick for movies in a movie?
Oh, okay. So we've been on the lighter side of things. So I'm going a little bit more serious with this one, and I think this is one that actually made me cry in the theater as a teenager, which was not something that happened a lot. There are again separating films from some of the people uh, behind them, but I'm gonna have to go with 1988's Cinema Paradiso, which is for me the moment at the end of the film when our adult sort of main character sits down, and it is all the segments of all the kissing scenes that have been spliced out of the films, and they are all compiled together, and he's sitting there watching them, is just one of the most powerful cinematic movie experiences I've had in the theater. It's a powerful story about film and audiences and censorship. So when we talked about people watching movies in a movie, this for me is at the top of the list.
Well, Steve, now we've gone from I haven't seen any of Steve's picks to a deeply moving steal. This was also my number one, and it's also a film about friendship, and
Yes.
this sort of intergenerational friendship. I think is just so powerful in this movie. You're absolutely right. I'm a big fan of this movie, and it was actually the first movie that came up in my mind when we ended up sealing this one as one of our lists, was Cinema Paradiso. So that puts me in a tough spot, because my backup pick is one that I think you could say breaks some of the rules, but not the spirit, and it's definitely not in the same genre, and that is Be Kind, Rewind.
Mm,
I,
yes.
I
Okay.
this was one of those movies that it's a Jack Black movie before he was kind of Jack Black, and I found myself really um, uh, really moved by this movie too, because it is a movie about people who love movies so much that they're willing to do anything with no resources to actually make movies. And the whole idea of retelling these stories on the cheap, I think is it just reminds me so much of my childhood. And of course, it also hinges on a technology which is no longer around. Like what are my kids going to do? And they've never seen this movie. So what are they going to do when they look at videotapes? Like that's not even a thing that's floating around their school anymore. And so I find that really great. I also really like Most Def, Yassine Bey now, I guess.
Yeah.
And I miss seeing him in more movies. And so also Mia Farrow's in it. So you got to come back
Yes.
around to Mia Farrow as a nice little circle of life.
Well,
So.
and you have to love a movie like this for creating the whole concept of the sweeted film,
Yeah.
of let's recreate a movie with zero budget, and it just created this whole sort of viral concept of people filming themselves reenacting these movies and posting them on YouTube, getting people to be creative and celebrating that. Say you don't need to have a big budget, you can just love movies and you can do that, and then there's an audience for that, and people sharing that is a great thing. And I think it's still out there, and even there was a website where they were taking the Star Wars movies, well, the original trilogy, and they were breaking it down into, I want to say it was 15 or 20-second segments, and basically everybody was assigned, you could sign up and you could either pick your segment or it would be assigned to you, and you basically filmed that 15 seconds. You would do your own version of it, and then they edited it all together, so you have Star Wars A New Hope in 15-second segments where everybody's done their own version. So some people are doing it, stop motion animation. Some people are doing it in their backyard. Some people are doing, with advanced computer graphics. But basically get to see a whole fan created version of. I know they did the first two. I don't know if they got to Return of the Jedi, but
no, they haven't gotten to Return of the Jedi. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's StarWarsUncut.com.
Yes,
You can go find it. They cut the movie into the clips. You claim a scene, and their tagline is, "We all become famous in the best films ever."
Yes.
All by 15 seconds. You can get A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, and it's just great. It's just it's a great thing to exist.
But I think that exists because of. Be Kind Rewind, of giving people that, that freedom and people embracing that. So yes, no, that's a great pick as well.
And that takes us to our next list, right? That's it. That's our big movie in a movie list.
That's the movie in a movie list, which is a really good list. I'm enjoying all of those films. Yes,
me too. But now we're going right into your backyard. What did they do to
us? Yeah, what did they do to us?
I don't.
I think this is what happens when we put it in the hands of the people. We need to run this, Do
you know what we need on Discord and in Patreon? More authoritarianism.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we need.
No, okay. This was. I'm glad they picked this because I ended up with two lists. Because
how did you end up with two lists?
Well, because if you know anything about Arizona, and there was just an article about this. Because of the Star is Born film, the one with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, that's coming out. Apparently, in that story, Bradley Cooper's character is from Arizona. So there's some scenes in the trailer you can see where they're on a stage. There's an Arizona flag, all of this stuff. And in our local paper, they're like, yeah, there's great, movies coming out, with ties to Arizona. None of it is filmed in Arizona. Since 2010, the whole tax credit thing got scrapped by either the governor or the legislature here. And so the number of movies that are actually shot in Arizona has drastically declined. So what I have is actually Arizona movies. I've got some entertaining movies that are actually shot in Arizona. And then I have movies that are some of my favorite movies that are set in Arizona.
Okay, but not shot in Arizona.
Yes, exactly. Or they may only have a small bit, but it's usually another state that's masquerading as Arizona in these films.
Okay. All right. Well, I however you want to present your list, whatever makes the most sense to you to get all 6 of your movies, you big cheater. I leave that up to you. But I am going to actually go first on this one because you have already effectively stolen it. And that is A Star is Born, but not the Bradley Cooper one.
Okay.
I'm talking about Chris Christopherson and Barbara Streisand because Tempe and Tucson feature heavily in the movie. In fact, the big concert scene is at Sun Devil Stadium, and when he's got the motorcycle and he's doing his donuts, and it is a great showcase of the fine extras of Arizona.
Yes.
A Star is Born, 1976. Is that right? Yeah,
exactly.
There you go.
And that was in the article. They said, when they did this back, Barbara Streisand, here she is at Sun Devil Stadium. When you're going to shoot a movie in Arizona, or you're going to set a movie in Arizona, shoot it in Arizona. So, yes.
I don't know if the others
have an Arizona.
Were Arizona, 1937, 1954. I don't know if they had Arizona in them.
I don't know that Arizona was anything but desert in 1930, whatever.
37.
It had only been a state for it had been a state for like just over 20 years,
6 or 7 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be interesting. I know this is high on our list once the Cooper thing comes out this weekend as we record this. I think Andy has been gunning to do a series of Star is Born movies and do all 4 of them.
Oh yeah,
in a row. So that should be fun. Okay. There you go. Star is Born, 1976. Tempe.
Okay. Yeah. See, you hit it. You hit in Arizona, set in Arizona, filmed in Arizona. I don't have eyes, so it's like you're combining 2 things that I've kept separate. So
okay, excellent.
All right,
excellent. So where do you begin then?
Well, I guess I will. I will start. When it comes to Arizona, and movies shot in Arizona, I wanted to get really local with this one. So I'm picking a film that has strong ties to this podcast. Yes. So
Is it a
this is
documentary about Sheriff Joe Arpaio?
no, it is not. I keep the documentaries off the list.
Oh, that's a third list.
Documentaries about how messed up Arizona is. Yes. No, this is 2007, a little horror comedy film that is about a company that is basically all the employees are vampires, and sort of the CEO has this condition where he's forgotten that he's a vampire and is starting to like overhaul the company, bring in new employees, and it's causing some stress for the vampiric employees. Of well, wait a second, this isn't the way things are supposed to work. This is Nether Beast Incorporated, which was shot here in Arizona, and actually Andy Nelson of this very podcast was a co-producer on this film. But it's the directors, producers, all sort of a local Arizona production. It is a horror comedy just below this 6.0 on IMDb, comes in at a 5.8. But you look at this cast, you've got Steve Burns, Steve from Blue's Clues, Daryl Hammond, Dave Foley, Judd Nelson. It's a middling comedy. It's worth checking out. It's available out there. I checked it out online from my library through Hoopla. So it's out there if you're in for a little quirky vampiric comedy. This is and you want to support Arizona film productions from the early 2000s. There you go. That's my
Judd Nelson.
Yes, but my
Nelson.
I guess I'll say my other set in Arizona movie. I'm going to go with 310 to Yuma because it has Yuma in the title, and I think it was actually maybe a small part of it filmed in Arizona. But that's my Arizona, because Nether Beast, I don't think there's anything specific in the story that says, oh, this is Arizona. It could be taking place anywhere, but I got to promote my produced in Arizona movies. But for movies about things happening in Arizona, 310 to Yuma, Christian Bale, Russell Crowe, just love that movie.
Excellent. That is a great pick, and it made my list. It just didn't make the top 3.
Okay.
All right. My number 2 is one that I'm pretty sure one of us has actually picked before, but I'm doing it again because any opportunity to talk about this movie, I know it makes some in our group of fine patrons more excited than others. And so I'm taking low-hanging fruit. I'm chumming the water, so to speak. Anytime you can make Phoenix and Tucson shine in end-of-the-world chic, I celebrate that. And here I'm celebrating in 1995's Rachel Talalay spectacle Tank Girl, which was shot in Arizona. And, this is one of those things. Lori Petty and Ice-T and Naomi Watts. I like. The more we talk about it, the more I like it, because memory is fantastic. I've chosen not to watch it again because I don't want to ruin that.
Yes.
But yes, Tank Girl shows off Arizona, Arizona dystopian chic.
It does, and it's
you should be so proud.
I am, because it's one that I love, but I know I don't want to watch because of memory. That I know that seeing that in the theater in 1993 or 5, yes, was a specific thing, and now, oh no, probably not so well. But yeah, that's thank you for bringing that to the list.
That was it not on yours? That actually would surprise me.
No, it's
you
not.
have 6 whole movies and you didn't get Tank Girl back on the list.
No, because I went into some deep areas, some deep.
You sure did.
Yeah, because for my sort of filmed in Arizona movie, and I think actually, ironically, it's been a long time since I've seen this. I think it's actually the Southwest that they're in is actually, they're supposed to be in New Mexico, but they actually shot it all in Arizona, and now it's flip-flopped for most movies. But this was actually shot in Tucson, Arizona, Cave Creek, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, Carefree, Arizona, Marana, Arizona. And there's actually an IMDb in the filming location. Somebody actually has the address of one of the homes that was where a lot of the movie takes place. So if you want to go to 44029 North Spur Cross Road, Cave Creek, Arizona, you can
just
visit.
doxed somebody.
It's an IMDb. It's the Schlichting residence. Does that tell you what movie I'm talking about? Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
I don't.
No, this is 1996, David O. Russell, Flirting with Disaster.
Oh, man. Oh, I do.
Yes. You just look at this. You don't get movies like Ben Stiller, Patricia Arquette, Téa Leoni, Mary Tyler Moore, George Segal, Alan Alda, Lily Tomlin, Richard Jenkins, Josh Brolin, Thanos himself. 22 years ago, a young man and his wife and his incompetent caseworker travel across country to find his birth parents. And it's David O. Russell when he was in a very different phase of his career. This is sort of the early David O. Russell. I think gets often overlooked and forgotten because of the direction he's gone with some of his more, I don't know, serious fare. He was playing around with quirky comedies for a while, and this is one of them. So yeah, that's my Film It in Arizona pick.
Okay.
And the other side of that is let's set a movie in Arizona and film it in New Mexico. And one of my favorite films from past few years, Sicario, which says at one point when they break into the house in the beginning, Chandler, Arizona, and I think Andy and I both said, yeah, that's not what Chandler, Arizona looks like. Clearly, they're not here in Arizona. It was New Mexico, but that movie began with a setting in Arizona, and they're supposed to be at Luke Air Force Base, which is out near Andy. And Andy's like, "There's nowhere." I said, "Yes, I know," and we both just grit our teeth and say, "Why Arizona? When you've got movies that want to be here, do you not allow them here?"
So what I'm hearing here is that you have one list of Arizona movies, and then you have Steve's list of Spite as your second list.
Well, except for my final pick on that list, which you'll see goes someplace else.
All right. Well, I have a final pick.
Okay.
And if you remember, to a few minutes ago, I did Be Kind Rewind, which was a bonus pick that I hadn't intended to do, but deep down I'm glad it happened because there was that looping mechanism, right?
Mm-hmm.
The looping. We had the Mia Farrow connection between the Purple Rose of Cairo.
Oh,
You're familiar with the looping. It's the Inception list of movies. Well, I'd like to do the same thing here.
Okay.
You'll remember my number 3 pick was 1976: A Star Is Born, which was shot in all over Arizona, but also Sun Devil Stadium.
Yes.
My final pick, I'm going to take us to what some might call a little bit of a maudlinly sentimental, but it's still a favorite film of mine, and I can't believe I haven't shown it to my family. It's Jerry Maguire, 1996. And I really enjoy the feeling I get from this movie, and I'm inspired by it. It's part of my, it's part of a series that I would watch with, let's say, Secret of Walter Mitty, the feeling of coming into your own and discovering who you're meant to be in the world, professionally, personally. This movie, I think, captures it very, very well. I am a fan of Cameron Crowe movies, and I know that I am a bit of an island there. I also know that you join me on this island, and so I'm hopeful that you are a fan of this movie as well. The Arizona connection, it's mostly filmed in California, but taking us back right to A Star Is Born. At the end, he's dreaming about, or at the end, the final football game is played at Sun Devil Stadium at ASU, and so there you go. So it's like another movie that I didn't bring up, which is Raising Arizona. When High is dreaming about Nathan Jr. Playing football, we should totally have. I feel like there's this giant loop of Sun Devil movies that we should have just done all movies that take place at this stadium.
Oh, we could do that, I think.
Movies that take place in Arizona that are also about Arizona, about people in Arizona, named Arizona.
Oh, Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire.
No, not
You're
so
not a
much
fan?
for me. Well, it's been a long time since I've seen it, and I I struggle with Cameron Crowe. There's some films of his that I really enjoy. There's others that I'm challenged by, and this is one where, and it's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember on seeing this that I had a lot of trouble buying the relationship piece, because to me it seemed like he was so career driven. It just seemed like to me he was using his secretary all along the way, and the whole "you complete me" thing. It, I didn't buy into that. To me, so I need to perhaps see it again, because for me it was all about Jerry and getting his things, and great. He took advantage of this woman that saw a career opportunity, and to me, I just didn't buy the relationship there. But it has been a long time. But that's my obstacle to that. That it was
Yeah,
more about his career in that, and that I just don't buy the
well,
complete me
it
thing.
totally
Yeah,
is. It, and
yeah.
in that regard, yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't quite hold up quite as much, but it is a movie about his career.
Oh
So
yes. Oh no. Of course. Of
of
course. Yeah.
course it's
No.
about his career.
Oh
But
yeah. Exactly.
I'm with you. There are a couple of Cameron Crowe experiences that I don't have quite as much joy in, but the big ones, Say
Yeah.
Anything. That's the one that was most disappointing on rewatch. That didn't hold up as much as I'd hoped. And I know that it's one of those movies I shouldn't have watched again. We did it on the show,
Yeah.
and I shouldn't have watched it. I enjoy the memory of it better. But Singles, Jerry Maguire, Almost Famous,
Hmm.
Vanilla Sky,
Oh yeah.
and then we bought a zoo and Aloha. I was not
Mm. Yeah.
into those experiences. But right in the middle there, Vanilla Sky, Almost Famous, Jerry Maguire. Those are three movies that I think are strong, and I enjoy my experience there.
I'm with you on 33% of that list.
Okay, the island is
Okay.
shrinking.
Yes, it
It's
is
it's
your
the Cameron Crowe Fortnite experience.
yes. Exactly. Get yourself into a shopping cart and hide in a bush.
Speaking of 33% of our list, so give me the last 33% of yours.
Okay. Well, you got to one of them there, Raising Arizona, because it is shot here in Arizona. It's all about Arizona. I was living in the northern suburbs of Chicago when this movie came out, working in a video store. When I moved out here to Arizona, and people are like, "Oh yeah, there's that. I can take you right to where the whole showdown is, in the street where he's fighting, in the streets and everything." They're like, "Oh yeah, it's this little town right here." And so I've driven through different parts. I know Andy knows a lot more of the locations around town where this was filmed, but it's just it's classic within our household. But so that's our filmed in Arizona. In terms of set in Arizona, I'm going to loop back to my trailer pick, actually, sort of thematically, of when you're thinking about movies in the Southwest, and I'm thinking about strong women. There is no greater film than Thelma and Louise, and to me, that just when I was looking at my picks, I said, "This is how I have to end everything." It brings everything back around. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it's one that I think I'm looking forward to watching with my girls on this one. To look and revisit, see how far we've come, perhaps how far we haven't come as a country, to see how relevant their story still is today.
I need to see it again. It's been too long, I am sure. I am also sure I was probably not in a great place when I saw it, and that influenced my experience with the movie. I don't have a great memory of it, and as such, I saw it once and just kind of moved on. Um, but it's one of those movies that whenever I say that, I am resoundingly rebuffed that I need to go see it again. Shut up and see it
Yeah.
again, and then come talk to it.
Yes.
See it as a
Exactly.
grown up and
Oh
see what
yes.
you think. Yeah, because I was I guess what is this 90, 91?
91. Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean I was
You were just some punk little teenage kid, weren't you?
I was I was in college,
Oh, okay. All right.
so that's something.
So you were almost an adult. You thought you were an adult
I
at
was
the
a
time.
pre-adult.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pre-adult.
yeah. So I'll see it again. I don't have a great memory of it, but
Yeah.
it has all of the other things that I should have, like all of the other pieces. Ridley Scott, Susan Sarandon, Gina Davis, Harvey Keitel, young
And
Brad Pitt.
young Brad Pitt. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
all the things that I should really like. So
Yeah.
anyhow, there you go. What that now? That's a heck of a list. right
yeah.
there. There's 9 movies on our Arizona list.
Yeah. That's a good list.
Well played, Steve.
And
So
where are we going? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, this
I
is
don't know
another
what
one you haven't seen.
I haven't seen. So
Which-
you pick things. I'll say, yep, okay,
Oh,
yes, sir.
okay. Look,
Let's talk
this
about being
is-
authoritarian here. You just
is
decide.
the detective.
Oh,
This is a detective, right?
this
That's
is
what
Frank
we're doing this
Sinatra,
week.
right?
It's Sinatra, and he's playing
Yeah.
a character by the name of Joe Leland, and it is based on a book by Roderick Thorpe. Now, it is the book that came immediately before the Roderick Thorpe book on which Die Hard is based. And John McClane is, it was renamed John McClane, but the original character was Joe Leland. So Sinatra is effectively playing the prequel
Bruce Willis?
John McClane. He's playing Bruce Willis. And you know what? To me, the spirit of those characters is right in there. There's not as much action in the detective, but
okay.
It deals with some very heavy things, particularly for this. I mean, it's gritty for 1968, and I really enjoyed this movie. So I would put it high on the list of things to check out. If you're going to dive into this, Steve, you should start with a detective. It's great. Now, what we want to do about that, I think Andy, when he lobbed this into our laps, he actually suggested a few things. Oh, wait a minute. So he suggested Coogan's Bluff stuff, but that's not what's going live this week.
Yeah,
that was from a week ago.
Yeah, no,
Coogan's Bluff already went live, though. Coogan's Bluff is out and is in the wind.
So that's why we were doing the list for, I don't know. What's next? So the next one in the series is The Detective.
Is The Detective. So we're in the right track here.
We're in the right spot, yeah.
So The Detective, so we have, cops in New York. It's a murder investigation. It deals with heavily with homophobia, and a penis gets cut off. Spoiler, happens in the first 5 minutes. There's a penis cut off and left on the floor. Sinatra says, make a note, penis is cut off and lying on the floor. That's
we
not a Sinatra line you expect to.
No, that's not going to get us a far list there of severed genitalia. No, that's not going to get us far.
There is a whole angle of wrongful execution.
Oh,
right?
okay.
There's an electrocution in it that is not right. But if you haven't seen it, that might be a little bit of a spoiler, just a little bit more.
But so are we dealing with police corruption? Is that sort of a go-to?
Yes, definitely police corruption. Yeah,
of course.
absolutely.
It's the gritty 60s, so you've got questioning authority structures. So it would make sense that we'd have some police corruption in there. So we've got a detective, we've got police corruption, we've got, according to IMDb, wrongful conviction or wrongful arrest, wrongful execution. So we've got that possibly as well. Although I think we can keep that separate from police corruption.
Yes, I think so too.
Don't want to do homophobia as a theme. Not something I'm really looking into spending time getting into.
But it is one of those. It's kind of central to this.
No, it could
movie.
be. Yeah. Or IMDb. And this is interesting that there's a distinction between bra and panties and black bra and panties in the list.
Thank you, IMDb. Your precision, as always, astounds.
And punched in the face. Okay. So,
there is one of the keywords on IMDb is nymphomaniac. And weirdly, that's right in there.
Oh, no. Okay.
So I know you've been talking about Nymphomania, the movie, for some time.
Oh gosh, no.
That's part of your Tree of Life.
No,
and then Nymphomania back to back.
No,
birthday celebrations.
Just stop. Yeah. Well, okay. So if we're dealing with homophobia and nymphomania, would it be safe to maybe have a broader umbrella that would cover both of those? Of, I guess, how would I say,
deviance?
I don't want to say deviance because that's got certain
No, it has connotation.
connotations, but I guess sexual behavior that's outside the socially accepted at the time. So I would say, I don't want to say fringe either, but I guess it's getting there of less than mainstream sexual behavior. I don't know, because I want to deal with
ironically not a very sexy topic.
No, it's not.
We can market that better.
We can market that better.
It up.
But homophobia, nymphomania, and
fringe. Okay.
But something we could wordsmith that a little bit. I think that covers, attitudes about, gay culture or other, sexual deviance, I guess. But
in the period,
the period, because of I think you look at different eras and different things are considered controversial. Like,
well,
oh my goodness, she's exposing her ankles. It's the 1920s.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things that's most interesting about this, is where they put Frank Sinatra as kind of the defender of progressive belief. And,
interesting.
And so it ended up being a really interesting kind of perspective. So we definitely have police corruption movies.
Yes.
We have wrongful executions.
Sure.
In movies, and all I have is fringe sexual behavior.
There we go. There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. That's going to be. I wonder where the patrons will go.
I don't know.
This is again speaking of chumming the water.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see where their interests lie, because I often wonder if this is the let's use the vote to force the judges into something they don't want to do.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Believe me, they can hear it in your voice, Steve.
Yeah, okay. I'll take on any challenge. I'll find ways to celebrate each of these themes.
There you go. Not bad, Steve. We did it in just a little bit over an hour. 2 whole lists.
2 whole lists? Yeah, well, actually 3. Because So
three.
I guess I could say my Produced in Arizona was my honorary Andy Nelson list, because I know that's something he is very much a proponent of bringing film production back here into Arizona. So that's my honorary Andy list for this week.
The honorary Andy list.
Yeah.
Outstanding. All right. Well, thank you everybody for downloading and listening to this. Thank you so much for being patrons and supporting the show. We sure appreciate it. And it'd be great, actually. Tell a friend that they should become patrons and help us out, help us grow the show. We could use a hand on that front. We could always use a hand. So thank you everybody, and we'll catch you this week. Thank you, Steve. Have a great weekend.
Hondo.